Hey, I'm back with another anime recap. Asahi, a regular high school student, spots a TV announcement claiming that he'll have an exceptionally lucky birthday today. Realizing he's late, he rushes to catch the train for school. Suddenly, he collides with a running girl, who lands on top of his head before quickly dashing away. In the process, she forgets her underwear, which Asahi keeps with him. On the train, he sits beside a girl who falls asleep, holding onto his arm tightly. Despite his attempts to escape, she clings onto him, causing him to accidentally fall on top of her in an awkward position. In response, she kicks him in the head, prompting him to run away. As Asahi descends the stairs, a girl slips and conveniently lands in a peculiar position. Unexpected events unfold, leading to the girl throwing a wild punch and accidentally leaving behind her banana. Dang, she didn't have to hit him that hard. Along the way, Asahi notices a robot collecting litter and discovers it holding a bra, which he picks up. Suddenly, a girl with red hair approaches him, berating him for taking her bra. She feels embarrassed, but before she can retrieve it, the robot starts dragging her away, leaving her without her bra. Continuing on his way to class, Asahi encounters a frenzied dog. Recognizing a potential trap, he decides to ignore it. However, the dog soon shifts its focus onto Asahi, targeting him next. Arriving late to class, Asahi realizes he's forgotten where his assigned seat is located. Seeking help from his friend, he's directed to his seat, where he discovers the same group of girls he encountered earlier that day sitting beside him, including the girl with purplish hair who catches his attention. Despite his efforts to avoid her, he can't help but notice her gaze upon him. The teacher, who is one of the girls, proceeds to introduce all the new students, Aoi, Ilya, Amelia, Karen, and herself, named Mongfa. Upon Mongfa realizing Asahi came late, she playfully scolds him for being a naughty boy. Desperate to avoid attention from the other girls, Asahi keeps his face turned towards the window. When the teacher demands he face forward, he tries to change the way he looks, somehow fooling the girls. Suddenly, Aoi startles him by recognizing him from their morning encounter. He then gets slapped by all of them. Asahi asks his friend and asks for his name, as he got slapped so hard it wiped his memory. His friend introduces himself as Yoshi. Asahi proceeds to recount the events of his eventful morning with the 5 girls, making Yoshi feel a pang of jealousy. Meanwhile, Ilya can be seen running in the background and discreetly changing behind the lockers. The other girls also begin changing, but Aoi, with a blush on her face, expresses her belief that Asahi isn't entirely at fault for the unusual occurrences earlier. Aoi finds herself stealing glances at Asahi. Yoshi advises him to try resolving any misunderstandings with the girls. While heading towards his locker, Asahi discovers a love note affixed to it, instructing him to meet someone at a specific location. In a rush, he almost collides with Aoi, but manages to avoid it just in time. Aoi inquires about her belongings, but Asahi accidentally gets her red bra from his pocket, which angers her and prompts her to slap him. Meanwhile, Karen appears hungry, and Asahi provides her with a banana to eat. Ilya flees from some dogs and seeks refuge behind Asahi, who tries to protect her by shouting at the dogs, but they still pounce on him. Later, on their way back, Asahi encounters his teacher, who notices his wound and treats it with a cotton ball. The teacher apologizes for misjudging him on the train, and Asahi forgives her. Amelia enters the scene and inquires about her bandages, and Asahi realizes he has her bra, which he returns to her. Amelia acknowledges that it was not Asahi's fault for taking it, and apologizes for her behavior. Towards the end of the day, Asahi decides to check the contents of a note he received, which leads him to a colossal sakura tree. While he is there, Aoi approaches him and confesses her love for him, causing him to blush and feel stunned. As he releases Aoi's underwear, which had been caught on a branch of the tree, she reiterates her feelings but abruptly notices her undergarment and flees. Ilya comes over and barks in Asahi's ears, after which they walk away together, and he also declares his love for him, but Asahi remains quiet. Suddenly, their teacher rushes in and pulls Asahi along into an alley without providing any explanation. She senses something ominous approaching and tightly clings to Asahi. Men can be seen approaching in the distance. After the departure of the men, the teacher remains in the same position and reveals to Asahi that someone is pressuring her into an unwanted marriage. She expresses her apologies, although he reassures her that no apology is necessary. Asahi, however, feels bewildered because he believed such a commitment should be reserved for someone you love. The teacher insists that she does love him and emphasizes their gender and their relationship. She asks him if he likes her, but he abruptly flees. Shortly after, Karen discovers him and approaches him with a wedding dress, leaping towards him. Asahi attempts to ignore her and escape, while Karen discloses that she is in fact a model and can be seen on numerous billboards. Asahi wonders if her attire is for a photo shoot, but she reveals that it is intended for their wedding, the wedding between Karen and Asahi, as she confesses her love for him. She leads him to a love hotel, and Asahi suggests they exchange vows first. Unable to reject a model as his wife, he asks her to close her eyes, and as she waits with anticipation, she eventually urges him to end the suspense. However, unbeknownst to her, Asahi has already departed while her eyes were shut. Disguised as someone else, Amelia approaches Asahi and requests his signature. He starts writing his name, only to discover that it's actually a marriage document. Once again, the mischievous robot seizes Amelia's bra. Finally returning home, Asahi encounters 5 girls kneeling before him. AOE warmly welcomes him, but he becomes uncertain and shuts the door on them. The girls inquire if he desires dinner, a bath, or even Amelia herself. Although he believes it to be the wrong house, they assure him that it is indeed his. Perplexed by their presence, Asahi receives a message from his father, explaining that these 5 women are potential marriage candidates. His father mentions that one of them, Ilya, is actually a guy, but he advises not to limit oneself based on gender in this era. Furthermore, his father reveals that all of them will be staying with him today, and whether Asahi chooses to marry all of them or part ways with them is entirely up to him. AOE inquires about Asahi's dinner preferences, sparking an argument about what to eat. Frustrated, Asahi raises his voice, demanding that they all leave. The girls, disappointed, kneel down, explaining that it's unkind of him to dismiss them immediately when they have nowhere else to go. They reveal that they have been staying in hotels until now. Asahi then suggests they continue living there since there isn't enough room in the house for 5 girls. However, to his surprise, they unveil that the house has miraculously been renovated in just one day, providing ample space for everyone. Asahi counters, expressing his concern as a guy about living with girls, as weird stuff could potentially happen. In response, the girls assure him that they wouldn't mind any weird stuff happening. The school even granted permission for the teacher to live with him. Curious if he likes them, they decide to prepare a meal together and set up a table. They feed Asahi together, and he eventually decides to take a bath. Karen follows him, attempting to make advances, but he promptly asks her to leave. He notices that Amelia is already in the bath and chooses to leave her undisturbed. After cautiously entering his room to ensure it was empty, he finally allowed himself to relax, only to be startled by the sight of his teacher somehow on the ceiling. Frustrated, he raised his voice, reminding them of his previous request not to bother him and urging them to leave immediately. Yet, realizing they had nowhere else to go, he made the decision to be the one to leave instead. Uncertain of his destination, he resolved to seek solace under the sakura tree, the place where everything had changed. AOE quietly approached him from behind, revealing her long-held curiosity about the mysterious person who had touched their lives in such a profound way. Asahi. Overwhelmed by anxiety, they had unknowingly overstepped their boundaries. AOI sincerely apologized, assuring him that they would respect his boundaries and find their own way. Moved by their words, he assured them it was all right and offered his home as their shelter, acknowledging that he couldn't simply cast these girls aside. However, he made it clear that they would no longer intrude upon his life in such a manner. AOI promised to do her best, and he responded with a gentle smile, prompting her to shed tears of relief. Meanwhile, the girls busily packed their belongings, believing they had to leave, until Asahi firmly stated that they were staying. The condition was simple: they had to behave themselves. And with that, their journey of life together began. Asahi awakens and discovers an unexpected presence beneath his bed, along with all the locks in his room mysteriously unlocked. To his surprise, he finds Amelia using his foot to sign a marriage license, which angers him. Meanwhile, AOE is writing people's names on the food, causing further frustration. Amelia, eager to write Asahi's name, struggles with the characters and ends up making a mess. Later, they learn that there will be a kanji test, much to Amelia's dismay as she finds it challenging. The teacher asks Karen to write a sentence on the board, and she successfully accomplishes the task. However, When Amelia takes her turn, she completely botches the phrase, resulting in an embarrassing phrase displayed on the board. The group discovers they have a test approaching, and Amelia naively believes it will be easy. When she returns home, she feels disheartened after losing a game of rock, paper, scissors and vows to find a way to always win. Amelia spends the entire night and morning strategizing, determined to master the game. Confident in her newfound skills, she wagers all her puddings on the next game. She lost it all. Meanwhile, Aoi prepares Asahi's lunch and engages in a conversation with Yoshi, who realizes that Aoi has prepared all of Asahi's favorite foods. Asahi wonders about Amelia's whereabouts, only to find her in her room feeling upset. He overhears her practicing recitation of kanji and notices the difficulties she faces due to being from a different country. Amelia is diligently studying for the upcoming test, and Asahi feels compelled to help her. Together, they visit a library, where they practice writing kanji. Despite Asahi providing easy words, Amelia struggles to write the correct characters. Witnessing her intense effort, Asahi asks her why she is pushing herself so hard. Amelia explains that she wishes to succeed and be able to communicate in his language. Overwhelmed with emotions, she runs away and isolates herself in her room. Asahi enters and attempts to apologize, but Amelia asks him to leave her alone, realizing how unkind she had been. She had yelled at him, but deep down, she wanted to express her gratitude and kindness. Amelia apologizes for her behavior, and Asahi, appreciating her determination, reassures her that he wants to support her. Her efforts to learn his language make him happy, and he encourages her not to be too hard on herself. Amelia notices a gift he left for her, flashcards he had personally made to aid her in learning. Grateful, she thanks him and cherishes the thoughtful gesture. The other girls feel envious upon witnessing this exchange, fully aware of the depth of Asahi's gift. They realize that the bond between a man and a woman is something special. As Asahi opens the door, they inadvertently stumble inside. Meanwhile, Amelia surrounds the house with kanji characters to immerse herself in learning the language. On the day of the test, Amelia demonstrates significant progress, leaving her feeling proud of her hard work and grateful for the support she received. Subscribe for more anime recaps just like this.